to the 217 Recovery Podcast.
If you don't make mistakes, you won't learn.
With your host, Corey Winfield.
You know, there was a reason why that didn't work out. And you can look back at it and go, yep, I'm glad that didn't work out how I wanted it, because I would have been horrible.
Got your ass.
It is the 1st of September, 2025. My name's Corey Winfield, and this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Very special guest in the studio with me today, Kenton Gore.
What's up, Corey? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I always have to say people's names like that. Kenton Gore. Yeah. No, dude, you're back in Traverse City. What? You're in studio, like you're at the office studio.
Yeah.
What the hell? You don't live here. You're not from here. What are you doing? You're on vacation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. I was like, man, whenever I got out of rehab and recovery, I was like, you know, I have to come back up here, at least once, if not more than that.
Yeah. Just because it was a place where you found help and good things happen here for you.
Oh, yeah.
Like you'll always love the city.
Yeah, man, I love it. I mean, it's been amazing for me.
That's
amazing.
Awesome. Now let's talk about how you got to Traverse City. So, I'll tell my story first. So, I was sitting at home and I got a text from my sister-in-law. Hey! It might have been a call. I can't remember. But, yeah, so my sister-in-law, she's married to my brother, Travis. And it's your sister, Kendra.
Yeah.
We love her. And this is kind of crazy. I was thinking about it this morning. You benefited from me being a drunk. Do you know that? Because all the shit that I had to go through, like, and your sister saw it. You know, she saw me struggle and just kind of, I don't know what she thought about it or what was going on in her head then. But then to have you all of a sudden maybe have a little problem or something, I'll let you get into it now.
Yeah, so I honestly did not think I had a drinking problem at all.
Most people don't.
Not at all. But whenever my sister Kendra had told me, you know, you don't look good. You need to get serious help. And some people knew that I was starting to look differently, and I was like, you know, and that's the crazy thing with alcohol is that it doesn't tell you what it's taken away from you. And it's taken a lot away from me. I mean, it started with, I lost my dad back in 2020. And, that day it was just like, I didn't care about life. I didn't care about nothing at all. And I just as soon that same night I got home from the hospital after he passed, I went into my room, shut the door, and I cranked out the bottle.
I bet.
And it was to the point where it's like, I just kept going and going. And it's like, one wasn't enough. I was like, well, let's open up another one. Let's open up another one. And then before you know it, was like maybe I want to say 4 or 5 a.m. that next morning. And I was passed out downstairs in the basement. And in the basement. And I was looking up. I was like, what in the world am I doing down here? I thought I was upstairs. No, I was literally on the floor in the basement, and I, went back upstairs and I looked in my room and there was like alcohol cans galore. And I was like, man, it was a rough time.
And you were a beer drinker, right? Like you didn't really mess with hard liquor or?
Oh, I never really drank, a lot. I never drank beer like Bud Light, Budweiser. I was never never drank any of those. I might had once, maybe one or two every once in a blue moon, but it was like more of the sugary, Mike's Hard alcohol, and then it was always hard liquor too.
Yeah, and Zima's. You might be too young for that. But there was a drink back in the day where it almost tasted like, I don't want to say a Sprite, but it was something that did not taste like beer. And so like I kind of, when I was your age, kind of went through that phase. And I always thought that if I was drinking just beer or just those other little wine cooler or whatever you want to call them drinks, I couldn't be an alcoholic. And because everybody knows that liquor will do some damage to you. Everybody
Oh,
knows that.
most
Like the hard
definitely.
liquor, like, ooh, the 101 proof too. Like, so when someone says to you, oh, well, just stay off the liquor and you'll be fine. You think, oh, well, that does make sense because I won't get as drunk as quick. Now, you and I, it doesn't matter because the end result is we are going to drink all as we can until we pass out, until we fall asleep, pass it, whatever. Like that's end result. So it doesn't matter if we start at 6, 8, we're stopping at the same time. It was when we pass out. We will cram much as we can in there. So like we're going to drink the same amount, whether we drink a pint or a half gallon or whatever before that. Like your mission is getting blackout drunk. And you brought up a good point that your father had passed.
Yeah.
And that hurt and that pain, how do you make it go away? How do you make it just be numb? Because you can't make it go away. You can make it numb or at least attempt to. And alcohol seemed to be your friend with that. At least so you thought.
Yeah, so I thought. And that's what I had always thought this, the entire time during my addiction with alcohol. It was like, alcohol is my best friend. It was a coping mechanism for me to get through the hard days. I mean, even after months and years of my dad passing, it was still, I always had to go drink.
Yeah.
And I know, and then a couple months after my dad had passed, I committed an incident where I was drinking and driving, and I crashed into sideswipe into someone's mailbox. Didn't even know the person, and they had immediately called the police. And I actually had took the mirror off, and this actually happened in my dad's car. Like I was driving down the road, and I actually turned back around to go pick up the mirror that fell off the car, and and I stopped and I picked it up, and this guy was like wailing his hands. He's like, "Hey man, you took out my mailbox," and he's like, "I already called the police." And so, and I had so I knew I was gonna be in trouble, but I didn't know the extent of it because I was under the influence, of course. And so whenever the police had shown up, they immediately knew right off the bat whenever I walked up to them and I was starting to talk to them, giving them my side of the story. They had said, "Sir, you're drunk. I can already tell you right now, you're drunk. How much have you been drinking?" I was like, I don't know. And that's the exact way I responded. I don't know. I just know I had some drinks before I started driving. So they did the standard field sobriety test. They did all that, and they did the breathalyzer, and I blew. I want to say it was more than twice the legal limit in the state of Michigan. And they immediately slapped the cuffs on me, said, you're under arrest. And they took me to the jail, and I went to the jail, and they got me booked. And the police officer that had actually arrested me knew a little bit about my family. And he even told the officers at the jail, said, he's in a rough spot right now with losing his dad, and just he's a good kid. Just take care, make sure that he's taken care of in here. And whenever I was sitting in the holding tank there, I was like, I never knew that this could happen. I never knew it could happen. And I remember there was two other guys in the holding tank with me, and they had said, asked me what I was in there for. I was like, I was drinking and driving. And they had, started asking me, well, what did you do? Well, I was like, it was probably about well over 2 times the legal limit in the state of Michigan. And they just were just shocked at that. And I had, whenever I had went, got discharged. I had went home that same night, and I got on a shoot. I did go back and have a drink, but the next day I was like, I got to take a little hiatus from it. And I had found a bottle of whatever liquor I had at the time, and opened it up, and I just immediately poured it out because I knew that I was having to go under some kind of probation or alcohol substance abuse classes, and which in fact, thankfully, I didn't have to have any probation, but I did indeed have to go through alcohol substance abuse classes. And it was during COVID, so I didn't have to go to the facility to do any of the classes. It was just either over Zoom or over the phone. And that made it almost was like defeating the purpose of even going through it, because it's like, well, I could be on the phone talking to the counselor, and he doesn't even know what I'm doing. I could I could be drinking, while we're talking about the abstinence of staying away from alcohol and drug use. And so I had underwent that for, I want to say, I think it was like 3 months I was in that, and that was back in 2020, and they had 2021, I should say. And they had discharged me, and I immediately went back to drinking. I was like, well, I finished this. I can't believe I did. And, to me, it was almost like a reward that I completed it, completed something that I was supposed to do, because it was either, if I didn't complete it, I was going to be back in jail. And I completed it, and as soon as I got discharged, I immediately just went back into drinking, and I did not know how bad I was, an alcoholic, until I started getting into recovery, which was, back in November, whenever I was hospitalized for alcohol cirrhosis. And my sister has been my saving grace. She knew that something was wrong, and it was a couple days prior to that, I started noticing my body, my demeanor in life started changing a lot. And I noticed that my whole body was, not looking like it should, and my sister, as a matter of fact, I was actually going to the grocery store for my mother, and my Aunt Sheila had called me and had told me, asked me, how are you doing? You holding up? And had told me that saying that, telling me that my mom had noticed that I wasn't looking good. And she had called my Aunt Sheila, or had texted her pictures of how badly swollen my legs and feet were from the fluid that I was retaining. And so I told her, I was like, yeah, I know I'm going to go get checked out, which I wasn't really thinking about getting checked out. I almost wanted to put it back on the back shelf, and because it was like, I didn't know what was going to happen.
And how old are you?
I am 30, just turned 31, and
so you're way too young to have a problem, right?
Oh yeah.
Did you still think that? I drove drunk, so oops, that was a mistake. So like your punishment was like, don't drive drunk, or that was your. They wanted to get out of your punishment for you to realize, don't drive drunk. Unfortunately, when we're drunk, a lot of times we don't remember and we don't think clearly.
Yeah.
So that's the whole problem with it. But yeah, so like I could see where you would have went through that and be like, all right, cool. I am never getting behind the wheel. If I'm drinking, I'm not driving. Like I'm putting my foot down. Like I could see myself doing some kind of like thing like that. Like, no, drinking's the problem, but I'm not going to mess with that. I'm just going to not drink and drive because that's the problem. when that's not the alcohol is the problem.
Yeah,
and that's
is.
what it, and you said it earlier too, like you didn't even know you had a problem. And that's what is so hard about alcohol, because it tricks you. And when it starts taking things away from your life, friends, family, jobs, money, whatever, that's fine. I didn't need it anyway. I don't even like that guy. I don't even like her. You start going up because you got your bottle right here. As long as you got some zeros or some, not zeros, but you got some numbers in your bank account, you can go get some more of them. And so it's fine. I don't need the girlfriend. I don't even need cable. I don't need lights. I don't need anything. Like, I can live without it. And you start to adapt to it. And it's the weirdest, craziest thing, where if you would have asked me when I was 16, 17, hey, do you want to live in your car? Doesn't that sound fun? I say no. Hey, do you want to like alienate your whole family and have people hate you? No. Well, that's what's going to happen because you like alcohol. You know, if it would have been, I guess, explained to me, I don't know. I don't think I would have listened to it. Alcohol is so powerful.
It really is. It really is.
What other, like, I could hand you a brownie right now and say, if you eat this, it's going to kill you. You probably wouldn't eat it.
Oh, God.
But I can hand you a bottle and go, hey, drink up. This is going to kill you. What? Like, you
might as well just give me a couple more or two. But that's,
because it doesn't kill you today. Well, alcohol can kill you today.
Oh,
but
yeah, definitely. And even the doctors was even telling me whenever I got hospitalized with the cirrhosis back in November, see, that day that I had finally threw in the towel, I was, I went to the walk-in clinic, and they actually referred me over to the emergency room, and they ran blood tests, and they ran, an ultrasound, and they did a couple other tests just to make, see what was the problem. And, they told me that there's something wrong with your liver and it's not functioning like it should.
So when they told you that, I'm going to stop you here. When they told you that, did you believe them, or did you think they were trying to ruin your fun? Or were you just like, oh shit?
I was thinking, like, whenever they told me that, at first I didn't want to believe them.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I never thought that, it could ever happen to me.
Not even 40 yet. Not even 35 yet.
I mean, maybe now I would think maybe if I was older and I was experiencing these symptoms, I most likely would believe them. But, like everyone says, you're too young to be going through all this. You're only 31 and you now have cirrhosis. And whenever they told me that, I was like, almost didn't really want to believe them. And then they start asking me questions about the alcohol and how much you drank. And I was like, well, if I had to be honest, I don't have an exact number. And they're like, well, just give us one. I was like, oh, well, maybe 3 or 4, 5, 6 tall boys and maybe a fifth of vodka, maybe even a half gallon.
So you were honest with them.
Yeah, I was. Okay. I was brutally honest with them, and they said, and so they had to admit me to another hospital to undergo all these, to undergo everything else with my health. And they said, told me that if you take one more sip of alcohol, even like a drink sip, doesn't even matter how much you have, you're 5 years tops of you survival. And I was in the hospital, and that absolutely scared me, terrified me, whenever they were telling me that you will die if you do not stop drinking. And I just, laid there. It's like, do I keep going with what I've been accustomed to and with everything for the rest of my life, or do I take that step forward and cry, say I need help? And I do, and I still remember to this day in the hospital that my sister Kendra actually had reached out to you, and we started talking about it, and that's whenever I said I wanted to get help.
Yeah.
Really wanted to get help.
And for me, it was important for you to get the hell out of Southwest Michigan. Not that there's places that aren't good in Southwest Michigan, but my path was through Southwest Michigan, and going to a treatment center is like a class reunion, and there's people there that I can't open up and be honest because that guy knows me. These people know me. There's just too many people that know me. I had to go to a kind of like you. And that's why I was like, you got to get him out of there. Like, get him up here where you can walk into a place where you know nobody. You don't have to sell anything to this guy, to that guy. You're just there being you, trying to get help. And I think that really makes a difference, just to know that nobody in there is going to come in and know you. And by the time you're in there and comfortable, you probably welcome somebody in. Hey, come on in. I hope somebody does come from Southwest Michigan because that's great. But at first, it can be scary. Who's going to know me? Who's going to tell this? Who's going to be saying I was here?
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is like at first I was like kind of going back and forth like, well, do I need to do I say, because I wanted to get help, but I didn't know how to get the help because I was always so close to Southwest Michigan, and to be honest, I looked around to see if there was even anything down Southwest Michigan, and there was, but I also wanted to put it, take what you had said to Kendra and wanted to go somewhere far away, somewhere, where, like you said, people don't know me. And whenever I got up here and got into rehab, people did not know me. They asked me, well, where are you from? And you came all the way up here? And I was like, yeah, it's, and I remember in rehab, whenever I was in rehab back in, December, actually, I was in there for Christmas and there for the New Year. Just got out just a few days after the New Year, and there was a guy. There was a guy in there, and I wanted to make an impact on people in there and let them know that they're not alone, and kind of try and ease my way into talking to them about, well, what are you going through? Like, where are you from? There was a guy that was there, and he came all the way from South Carolina. Mm. And I was like, you came all the way from South Carolina? And I can't hardly remember the extent of the conversation or how far the conversation went. But it was, he told me he came from South Carolina, and I was even in shock by some of the people in there. Like, whenever I first got up into the facility, I was 30 whenever got up there, and I looked around and it was all these old people. I was like, wow. I was like, I hope I'm not. I hope I'm not the only, I guess I would say young stud in there.
What's old to you?
Well, but no, it's
31, everybody's old.
Well, I'm, like I said, just turned 31, and I always tell, and people ask me, well, how old are you? I'm 31, but my back feels like it's 75. But no, whenever I first got up into rehab, it was like, I looked around and it was like these older people looked crazy to me. They
obviously,
yeah, they looked like, and it's like, well, I looked like I was the only normal one in there, and I was like, man, oh man, I was like, this is gonna be interesting. But in all honesty, whenever I first got there, I was like, I don't know how well I'm gonna do in here.
Right. I remember Kendra said something like that, and I was like, no, he'll be fine.
Yeah, but it took me a couple days to realize where I was at and what I was doing. And
that's the first time you went to treatment.
Oh yeah,
like in an inpatient facility, and it can be scary because it's when I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to expect? And the same thing, man. And there was a guy that it was crazy. I had to leave, and I used that as an excuse because I'm like, nope, can't deal with that. He was doing that with puppies and dogs. Don't want that. Nope, don't even want around that dude. I'm going home back to Michigan because I was in California, so I came. So I know what you're talking about, and yeah, people look crazy because they are.
Yeah.
But they're good dudes, though. And I'm sure you found out by the end of it. You're like, oh, crazy Tom's crazy, but I love him. That's my guy. Like it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And when you let that guard down and see people for who they are. But at first, it's scary when you go into a place, and at least you didn't have to have that, like, oh, someone's going to see me and tell people I'm here. You were in a new place, which is scary in a whole different light. But going in it and going through it and seeing that, hey, this is all right. So you're settling in. Everything's going on, and you start to learn. Like, are you starting to put things together when you're in the treatment center?
Yeah. So whenever I first started in rehab, I didn't know nothing about recovery. I didn't know like what recovery was. I didn't know, and honestly, I found out things in recovery and rehab that I didn't even know about myself. And it was, through the therapy and through talking to other people in there. And that's the crazy thing about whenever you're so addicted to alcohol for so long, it's like alcohol knew who you were. It knew who you were because it knew what it could take from you. And then I remember one of the navigators in there, he'd always say, whenever you leave here, no matter like, as soon as you walk out those doors to leave, to go home or to go into sobriety living or whatever you plan on doing after, rehab, your addiction or what was trying to kill you is going to be out there doing those push-ups, doing those push-ups, trying to strengthen to get you to use them again. And I took that and I thought of it, and and everywhere I go now, like even whenever I walk out of here, it's going to be out there because there's liquor stores around. It's like the only thing, like nothing's going to stop me from going to a liquor store, a gas station, and buying a case of beer or a bottle of liquor. But with being in recovery, I think of those coping mechanisms I've learned in there. And one of my favorite ones is think about how far you've came in recovery. And they've always said that, God, I can't remember it now. That's the part about getting old. You forget stuff.
Obviously.
But yeah, recovery's been amazing. And I think what it was is my favorite coping mechanism is, just, thinking about how far you made it into recovery.
It'll pop in your head that you can drink this weekend and no one will know. It will. Now, I feel I have so much power over alcohol because I have a choice today. I could go next door to the store and get a case of beer, get drunk. I can get a fit, whatever. I could do that today, but I'm not going to.
Oh yeah.
I have shit to do. I got a movie to make. I got a book to write. I got so much stuff I want to do. I don't have time for that. I wasted enough time on the couch getting blitzed every single night for 15, 20. I don't even remember how many years. It was stupid. The goals I have today, I can show you. I have this big, it's this, what do they call them? Sound proofing boards. I don't even know what they're called. I ordered them, but I made it of a picture of my son and it hangs over my desk. It's huge. It's big. I like that. That's something that means something to me. Like that. I want to do something good for him. I want him to look back after I'm dead and gone and be like, my dad was a good dude. And he did something. You know, like I want to make him proud. You know, that's what I live for. And I want to make a movie, and I'm so close to finishing writing it. And I was listening to this podcast this morning, and this guy hit it right on the head. I'll start to write it and I'll get it. But A, I don't have a deadline set for myself. I need deadlines. And B, even if I get it finished, it's never going to be good enough. There's always something I'm going to want to add to it. So I don't think I'll ever get it done unless I set that deadline and then just go, nope, that's the deadline. It's done. It's done. If you want to add something to it, make another movie.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know, but just everything has to be so perfect for me. And so it actually stalls me down. But learning about yourself and knowing where you want to go and what you want to do is huge. For you, I was going to bring this up because, well, there's two things. First, I remember the trip home, I remember saying to you, look, you're not somebody with a drinking problem. You're not an alcoholic. You're in recovery. You know, like when you say that, because when I say I'm in recovery, it means something different.
Oh, yeah.
And I even told you when I go to AA meetings, I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm Corey. I'm a person in recovery. Because alcoholic was a bad term. It was bad. You're a bad person. I'm doing the finger wave at you. You know, like you're bad. You bad alcoholic. No, I'm in recovery. I've changed my life. That person you're waving your finger at, that's not me. It was me, but I changed. I got my shit together. I changed. Now this is me. And so the people that want to knock you down for the stuff that you did in the past that you can't change. I mean, you can say, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Here's how I'm living now to prove that.
Yeah. It's, kind of like what you're saying about that. It's really amazing. Like what, you know, how alcohol can personally affect you.
Yeah, and it doesn't make you a bad person. I mean, it can make you do bad things, driving drunk, or, you know, maybe yelling at people, violence. It can cause, and it does lead. If you call the police station right now and say, hey, how many of your calls did you go on because of alcohol? They would probably say 80, 90%, maybe even more. I don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous. And yet there it is out there at the store. You can walk up to the gas station, steal you a little bottle from the counter. Like the last time I was at the gas station, they had them at the counter. Now, you couldn't get a cigarette. You couldn't get vape juice. But alcohol sitting right there. You could just snag it, put it in your pocket. No one would even know. 12-year-old, 10-year-old, 8-year-old, they don't care. It's right up there by the candy. It's all fruity looking. But yeah, they're banning all the stuff because they're like, oh, no, they're targeting kids. But yet alcohol out there, straight up targeting kids, targeting everybody.
Yeah, it's targeting young people's lives.
But in America, that's how they want it.
Yeah.
Because it makes them money. And then they throw it out there, drink responsibly. That's your fault. You didn't drink responsibly.
Yeah.
And look what it did to you. If you just will listen to us, unfortunately, our brains don't work that way. Our brains, like when you lost your father, you wanted to numb that. Everybody, if you don't understand that, I'm sorry. You know, what do they call that? Where people don't have any feelings. I can't remember, but it's bad. And you should probably
cold-hearted.
Get some help. It was called cold-hearted. Yeah, but that would make you lose your shit. And I've already started prepping myself. I'm fortunate. I still have my parents. And I'm mentally telling myself, Corey, drinking, not going to bring them back.
No.
And what would they... Yeah, sorry, I'm going to get teared up here. You know, what would they think about me if I did drink at that moment? You know,
yeah,
it's just not worth it. So it's going to be a sad day. I'm already getting choked up over it. But so I could imagine, dude, I can't imagine, and I don't want to, but I will. Yeah. But this is something that you can help people with, because there have been people that come to me and they're like, man, I just had a relapse. I lost my parent, you know, and I don't know what to say except, oh my God, that sucks. You know, and actually there are other people that I know, and I'm like, hey, talk to this person. They kind of went through some of the same stuff, but you will help somebody. I can guarantee you.
Yeah.
There will be somebody that comes into your life that will lose a parent or loved one, and you will be like, hey, man, and give them a hug or whatever. I mean, you'll help them. You will. I guarantee it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing with being, you know, an alcoholic is I should say alcoholic in recovery. See, that's the other thing too, is whenever people tell me they're like, you know, like, you're an alcoholic, I was like, I once was. I'm a alcoholic in recovery now. There's two different meanings there. Mm-hmm. And it's it's amazing how how whenever you get into recovery, it gives you something to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my dad, he's looking down, he's watching me, and even my sister would always tell me, your dad's so proud of you right now for taking this step forward. And going back to what you had said about someone coming into my life, about, losing a parent and stuff. And it's like the hurt is still there, but the way you grieve about it gets better and better as the days go on. I mean, though it's still sad, but you find better ways to get over it. Like, I mean, you'll never get over losing a parent, just the way that you cope and you grieve with it. Mm. And what I always say is, the reason why I put my story out there is it's because I want everyone to know, or even someone or that knows of somebody that's, having a problem, whether if it's an alcohol addiction, drug addiction, or if they're cross addicted, that you're not alone. You are not alone. I thought I was alone whenever I was an alcoholic, but you just have to take that one step forward and say, I have a problem and I need help.
Yeah. And for you too, to get out, to go back home, to like, all right, I'm going to do this. And sober living. Oh, is he going to do sober living? Is he going to stay here? And that was the thing too, that probably had you freaked out. Like, where am I going to stay? Where am I going to live? What am I going to do? But you didn't drink. You stayed the course and you figured it out. And pat yourself on the back for that. You know how easy it would have been for you just to turn right back to drinking because, well, this happened to me and I don't know where I'm going. I'm staying. Pour me another drink. But you didn't. So I'm proud of you for that. Because I was nervous. I was like, whew, like, man, because it's a very, I don't even especially understand what face I just made, but it's very tense. It's because everybody wants you to make it, man. And it's just like when your son starts walking for the first time and he's stumbling over and you see the table and you're like, oh shit, and then he just sits down and you're like, okay, he didn't bust his head. That's the relief that you have, or that I have with you anyway. It's that same like, okay, good. And then to see your Facebook, you are into photography. Yes, thank you. You're doing something with that energy that used to sit on the couch and drink and get drunk and wasted. Now you're going out and you're taking beautiful pictures. You're having fun. And
I'll be honest too, like I was still doing the photography or doing pictures even back whenever, I was, an alcoholic. I mean, even like I might, have a what they say road beer and have one of those. And though I wouldn't have it, as I'm driving, I would wait until I'm parked. I pretty much guzzle the thing down and then I go out and take these pictures. But whenever I take the pictures, I see something more different. I see things, and it's hard to explain that how you look at a picture differently now that for me anyway, that I take, with, going out to like the beach and, the beach or no matter where I'm at. And my sister, as a matter of fact, had sent me this link on Facebook over Messenger, and I don't know what state it was in, but this photographer had had a true inspiration or was a photographer and had was inspired to help recovering addicts with sobriety photos, and where they take a mug shot of them whenever they were arrested, or even if, and I say, if you never got arrested, but you were still had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Take a photo of whenever you were in, whenever you were in an active addiction. Frame it and take pictures with who you are in recovery now. And I looked at that and I'll be brutally honest, I didn't think nothing about it. And here I am taking all these 20, all these photos of, of the beach and the sunset, and even coming up to Traverse City, no matter where I go, I gotta take the camera with me. Yep. Gotta take the camera with me. And even before I'd left to come up here, I've had, my sister tell me, I even had a, best friend of mine that told me, make sure you fill up that SD card or empty that SD card out before you head up there. I was like, oh yeah, I plan on it. As a matter of fact, I brought 2 just in case if one wasn't enough.
Nice.
And I know the first day I came up here, I think, it was the first day I came up here, or on the way up here, I probably took about, I want to say like 200-300 photos.
Wow.
And then yesterday I took maybe like 60 or 70, rough estimate, but it's just, you look at those photos that you take and it's, I'm capturing something that God created for me to see. And like I say, I look at those pictures now being in recovery and I see them so much differently.
Because life is so different. Yeah. Like you're actually living life now.
Yeah.
And to see that play out and on social media and Facebook, it's great, man. Like I don't get on Facebook that often, but I'll see your stuff every once in a while and I'm like, oh hell yeah, and I'll like it or put a big heart on it or tell you a good job or I don't know what I do, but
and sometimes it doesn't it used to bother me, but it doesn't anymore. But some people will ask me, well, you post too much. You post too much about it. It's like, well, it's not for you. It's for me. It's for me because I want to. It gives me the accountability that I need, and plus people will ask me, well, how are you doing? How's your sobriety doing? And 9 months. It's 9 months of being sober. It's amazing. Really amazing.
You're gonna get that year.
Getting that year.
Hopefully, fingers crossed you gotta make it to today. We all know that. But yeah, it's just right around the corner and I don't know. That year was something for me. And you're still getting your coins every month, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And but that was something that, I think I shared with you. I gave those coins to my mom. And I still mail her a coin every year. But when I hit that year, everything seemed to speed up. Like, I don't know if it was because every month I was looking for that coin. So, like, every month I was tracking it. Whereas when I hit the year, it was just like, all right, boom, you're on cruise control. And then I think I got an NA tag at 1.5 years. But then I had to wait the whole year for that second year. So it seemed like it flew by the second year. And I was like, whoa, I got 2 years now? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy insane whenever you're in recovery because it starts out as seconds and then it turns into minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, and then years.
Yeah, and then your kid's 1 and you're like, how did he turn 1 already? And you're just like, oh my God, it's flying by. But man, I remember laying in the hospital bed and thinking hours had went by and it had only been a minute. And I was like, what? Like, no, like this can't be. Like, it was hell. I mean, we felt every minute of that, man. Like, people know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Like, you just said it, so to see you turn it around, man, is a beautiful thing, man. And not everybody can do it. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. It took me 15 times, man. And that's crazy.
And I think, and now that you say that, I look back and, at myself and it's like, I'm surprised at how well I'm doing so far in recovery. And with not even one relapse. I have not relapsed once, and whenever I was in rehab, there was a gentleman that I stayed there with, and he had asked me, "Well, how many times have you been into rehab?" I was like, "This is my first time." And he was like, "This is your first time?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is my first time." He's like, "Well, what made you get into rehab?" I was like, "Alcohol did. Alcohol really, put a strain on my life." And whenever I was in, now I'm thinking about all these things that I did in rehab. My therapist I had in there, he had us do write a thank you and goodbye letter to our drug of choice, which mine was alcohol. Yeah, I smoked weed and everything, but that wasn't my go-to.
It wasn't ruining your life.
It wasn't ruining my
killing you.
It wasn't ruining my life.
It might have been killing you, but
I mean, it could. Yeah, it could have, but but he had me do a thank you goodbye letter, and I can't remember whenever I was in rehab, I was always writing. I was always writing my thoughts, collecting my thoughts, and I had talked about in my thank you goodbye letter, thank you for giving me what I thought was a good time back then. But now I guess I have to say goodbye. You were never a best friend to me. You were nothing. You were nothing for me. You're something that was holding me back, stabbing me in the back, taking things away out of my life that were slowly coming out of my life. Like you even said earlier, it was, friends, family, job, money. And it was, and as soon as alcohol or your addiction takes all that away from you, what else does it have to take away from you?
Your life. And it'll get that too.
Yeah.
It does. And then, I don't know if they classify it as an alcohol related death. Probably not. But if your liver fails and you die, do they just go, liver failure? Or do they chalk it up to it's alcohol death? I don't know. That should be, because if you want to go back and just go how crazy alcohol is, let's just take this story I'm going to set up for you. All right.
All right.
You got Jack and Jill. They're at a party. Mm-hmm. It's 2020. They're at a party before COVID. Or I guess 2020 was all COVID. So let's go back to 2018. All right, let's go back. Pre-COVID. So Jack and Jill are at a party. Jack and Jill are drinking. And they're 21, let's say, and they're in college. They're having a good time. And Jack falls on Jill. Pee-pee goes in. Oop, they have a baby. Or if you want to do it, they start making out, have some sex, have a baby. Is that a little better? Okay, so she comes to him and is like, "Hey, Jack, I don't even know you, dude, but I'm in college and I'm going to be this lawyer thing, so I'm going to go ahead and have an abortion." Oh, well, Jack's like, "Well, but you're hot, and I thought I just landed you for 18 years. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, no." So it sends Jack down a spiral because he's thinking, "Oh my God, what? I can't have no say. I can't do that. Like, what? It's my son. She's going to kill him. Like, this is crazy." And then she gets it done and he goes on his way, but he starts turning to alcohol because it helps him numb the pain. And then I'm sure having an abortion has got to mess people up. I'm obviously a guy, but still I've never had this in my life. So I'm speaking of stuff I don't know, but again, this is just a story. So then she starts struggling because she's having these thoughts of, oh, what if? And then a year goes by. Oh, he would have been in 1 today, 2, 3, 4, every birthday. The drinks come a little bit more and a little bit more. And now to cope with her pain of having that abortion, she's drinking. Jack's drinking too. They're on their, they don't even know each other anymore. They're on an alcohol destructive path. And then Jack gets into an accident, kills people. Oh, that drunk alcoholic, he's so bad. But it all stems back to when they didn't have a problem is when it started, and it all had to do with alcohol. If they wouldn't have been drinking and drunk, maybe Jack wouldn't have fell on Jill. Maybe they wouldn't have had sex.
Yeah.
But they did because alcohol lowers your inhibitions, and you do things you normally would not do. And all because of alcohol. But this death or that death, or maybe the accident death would be attributed to alcohol because it was related. But, maybe Jill takes her life. Maybe she takes her own life. Oh, there's suicide. But that's not even related to alcohol. And it's like, no, it needs to. But there's so many stories like that are interwoven, but it all go back to alcohol. And I'm not saying ban alcohol. That's not going to happen. They tried that. And there are people. My brother, he can have a beer. I can't. I cannot. Yeah. Why would you have a beer? That's stupid. Yeah. How big is it? Like, is it a whole keg? Like,
yeah. It would have to one be. One beer could mean anything. Like, it could be just like a little tiny bottle, or it could be, like you just said, a whole keg.
It would have to be. For me to have one beer, I'd be like, are you talking about a keg of beer? Like, I will have one keg. Like, if I have one beer, for me, is pointless. Like, why would we have one beer? That's stupid. You need at least 15, 20. Let's get 3 cases. Let's go. It would not be just, but Travis, he can have a beer with his dinner. He probably might even finish it. Dump the rest out. Who does that?
Yeah.
Because they are different. I can go into a casino. I don't know why I would want to lose $20, but whatever. I could do that. And, then when they say gamble responsibly, Marnie and I were talking about this yesterday. And she's like, yeah, but there's responsible gambling. I said, not for an addict. Because they do the whole harm reduction thing, which, okay, cool. Do whatever you need to do. Whatever works for you is what I say. But for me, that wouldn't have worked. Not in one bit. And I see it different in the light of you take what you're telling the normal people. Hey, drink responsibly, gamble. Don't gamble what you can't afford to lose. Like that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Gamble responsibly. What? Will you tell my brain that? Because when that serotonin fires after I just won that 10 grand, you come and tell me gamble responsibly. And I'm going to be doing dancing, throwing money at you, like telling you to get out of my face because your brain. So you can say all the stuff. Don't drink and drive. We've been saying that for hundreds of years, right? Probably not that long because, I was being sarcastic, but forever. Yet people still do it. So I click. It doesn't work. Take it off your lottery ticket. Take it off whatever. Like putting it on there is just a waste of ink. You can make that a little cheaper if you just use less ink.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense. Because like I cannot drink responsibly. However they say either. I can't have another drink. And I know that. I know that because I've seen people go through that treatment center that you went to that had 20 years. And when COVID hit, it took away their meeting. That they only went once a week to their Saturday meeting. Well, their meeting closed down, and guess what? Started drinking again. And he said he lost it quicker than he could have ever imagined. And I was like, yep, I believe you, dude. History does repeat itself, and I will listen to what you're saying. And I've heard too many stories like that. So I know that in 10 years, 20 years, 150 years, if I'm alive in 50 years, which I probably won't be, I know that I cannot have a drink.
Yeah.
And at least I know the result of it. But I will have that option always for the rest of my life. I could go to the store right now.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, whenever I got up here, I mean, I've done so many things up here, like walking downtown and seeing, like, these bars and people walking in and out of it. They're either walking in there, they're sober, but they're not going to walk out. They're not going to walk out of that place sober. And I can't remember which grill and bar it was, but it was downtown, and I was just taking and I do a lot of walking now. Do a lot of walking and go hit up the gym whenever I can. And I remember I was walking. It was I think it was the first night I got here, and I had walked downtown, and I walked in front of this bar, and these people were just walking out of it. And I don't know if it must have been like a wedding party or something. I don't know. And they were, hooting and hollering. One of them ended up falling out in front of on the sidewalk.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, that was me. Like, that was pretty much me back then. Whenever, if I went to the bar after work, and I drank more at home by myself than I did going to the bar. I mean, I still went to the bar. I mean, I went to the bar with a couple friends, after work, and going, and we have, just like maybe like 2 or 3 drinks, and then we went our separate ways, but I stayed there. I paid my tab, and I was like, I'll just stay here. I mean, I'm only like maybe like a couple blocks away from the bar, so I was like, I'll be fine to drive home. Well, and I always remembered now, before going to the bar, there was a liquor store across from the bar, and I would always go in there before going inside the bar, because I knew whenever I got home from the bar, I was gonna.
That's where the real drinking happens.
That's where it's like, oh, all bets are off. You can. There's no limit on how much you can drink. So I, went to the liquor store, bought whatever I thought I could have, and whatever I thought, I could finish in the night. And, I take it out to my car, and there might have been a time or two, it's like, I can't wait till I get inside the bar. I'll take the stuff out to my car, maybe crack one open, have a little sip, a couple sips, and put it back, put it in my car, walk inside the bar, do what, have my drinks in there, and, meet up with my friends. And whenever they left, I still stayed there. And after that, I went back out to my car, finished the one that I opened up before walking inside the bar, and then drove home. And there's been a numerous amount of nights where I get home and I'd either be watching TV, playing video games, just do stuff that I can drink with. So, and if I ran out of alcohol, it was like, well, I'm still going to be up. I was like, I got to go back to the gas station and get more. Did like the adult things, like going to the store, doing boring stuff around the house, like laundry. It's like, well, what man does laundry?
Oh, I used to do laundry at 5 a.m. on Sundays, man, because I have to drink. Like you said with the video games, like you like morph your whole world into things that you necessarily don't like, but as long as you're drinking while you're doing it, it's fine, and you accept it, and it's cool, it's good. Hey, I've got to clean the house, I got to do laundry, I got to do it on Sunday at 5 a.m. Now, every other day of the week, I'm rolling out of bed 9, get to the radio station like 10, barely make it. But on Saturday and Sundays, 4 or 5. As soon as I wake up, it's on and popping to the freezer to get the half gallon, and let's go. And then we'll start the laundry.
Yeah. And it was like
passed out by 10.
Oh yeah, and I still remember, like, I didn't wait until after work to get kinked up. It was if I need to go to the store for something, or and I would go to the store or make some excuse to go to leave the house to be like, well, I gotta go fill up my car. I need to get gas for my car, because if not, I'm going to forget. Well, little did people that, my mom, I should say, not really on speaking terms with her situation, but not going to get into that. But she would ask me, well, where are you off to? Oh, well, I'm going to go fill up my car before I go to work, because if not, I'm going to forget. But little did she know that my car was either, let's just say my car didn't need to have gas. Did not need to have gas. And it's like, well, it was go to the liquor store, sit out in the parking lot and drink there, and then go back home. And then there was even times where she would ask me to, well, will you go to the store for me? Will you go and get me stuff so I can make dinner? Yeah, okay, I will.
You got excited when you heard that.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah,
hey, will
yeah.
you go? Yeah.
Don't tell me twice. I'll get right in my car and go on ahead.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Like if you like what I just said about getting up on the like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, wait, was there drinking? Oh yeah, am I going to drink? Yeah. And it's the same. And I wonder how, because gambling, it works the same way with the serotonin and dopamine and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how tolerance, because alcohol, obviously, if you're like, oh, I just drink 2 beers every night. I had a lady say that she drinks 2 glasses of wine every single night. I said, it's impossible. Your glasses have to get bigger because your body's going to go, I need more, a little bit more. That's why, like, you could never say, I'm just going to drink a half a pint every night, because then it's going to be, well, I'm going to need it a little bit more. And maybe I'll just do a pint and a half or a half pint. And it's going to grow because of the tolerance. And
yeah.
I remember, back in the day, 1 beer gets you, woo! I mean, you tore up from 2 beers. Oh my God. And then he can handle a whole 6-pack. Oh, and then it becomes a badge of honor. Like, oh, he can drink a whole case by himself. Yep.
And I remember talking to a good friend of mine. I pretty much call him, we're pretty much, brothers, since I've known him for, I would want to say, the past 15 years. And I remember having conversations with him about me being an alcoholic, and everyone, and not just, and it wasn't just him, but everyone else didn't even think I had a drinking problem.
Well, in my opinion, as a professional radio broadcaster, it is the alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay, that's because it's poison, and that's what we turn to. But it's the underlying issue. Like, this is what I think keeps people afraid, because they don't want to be labeled alcoholic. But everybody has problems. Some people deal with them in different ways. Some people have unhealthy ways, but it's not alcohol, but it's still unhealthy. They have other different outlets that they use. We chose alcohol. Again, for us, it made sense. Easy, right down the road. Just need some money to buy it. Okay, good. Makes it go away for now. Okay, cool. And I see commercials, and it's accepted. But when you realized that you had a problem, it was like, oh, going to the hospital. And it's kind of like, it shouldn't have to get to that level. But I think we fight so hard against that label of being called an alcoholic and being that person that has a problem. There's a person in my life right now, and I wish this person would just listen to me. And there was a chance about 3 weeks ago, I thought I was going to talk to this person. I was going to have this one-on-one where I was going to say, look, like, I can tell you what's going on, and I'm not Nostradamus. I cannot predict the future, but I can predict yours. That's what I want to say, but it's not because the person's a bad person. It's not. But I think this person is afraid to, like, drop their guard to go, okay, help me, because they don't want to be labeled that bad person. They don't want people to think bad about them. And it's not about that. I don't know. It's so frustrating. And I can see where my mom was probably, like, wanting to lose her shit. Everybody in my life was probably wanting to lose their shit. It is so frustrating. And what comes around goes around. Yeah. Like, here I am with someone who I love dearly that I just can't, I don't know. Just because I helped myself and changed my life doesn't mean that I can help you or help anybody else. I can tell you what worked for me.
Yeah.
But, so like when family members will look at me and go, well, hey, how come you're not helping this person? It's like, well, A, the person never asked me for it. And, they say that only a person, like they saw this in AA anyway, like, and maybe they say it in other areas or different avenues too, but I'm the only one that can say that I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Now, you throw a huge question mark up there. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Because your mom obviously knew you're an alcoholic. But they say, but as far as you getting help, like, that's step one. You have to admit you have the problem.
Yeah.
But I think step one should be admit that I have trauma that I haven't dealt with and to understand that I am using the alcohol to help me through it, that's tough, especially if you're talking to someone who's currently drinking. That is impossible because they're gonna do the same thing that I did. Probably you did too. Throw the double birds up. Don't need you anyway. Go live your life. F you. See ya.
Oh, yeah.
I got my bottle.
I always, whenever someone told me that I was, like even like family members told me, that I was drinking too much, and it was like, yeah. I know what my limit is, but that was the alcohol that was telling me that I knew my limit. I didn't have a limit, nor did I even know I had, there was, I had a limit.
You're just having fun.
Yeah.
Young, having fun, man. Get off my back.
Yeah, I was going back to talking with a good friend of mine. I was, whenever I was talking to him about, like recovery, like every once in a while he'll talk and say, well, how you doing? How are you holding up? And I remember telling him one night, talking about my time in alcohol addiction. I had pretty much didn't really care about what people thought of me. Because it was just like, oh well, it's another day. It's another day. I don't care. And I remember telling a good friend of mine that I remember back whenever I didn't even know. This is before my dad even passed away. So I was didn't think nothing about it until after I'm getting into, into recovery, that I would save. There was a time where I saved like all my hard liquor bottles, whether if it was a pint or a fifth, and I put those on a shelf as almost like a trophy.
Yeah.
Like a trophy. And I remember telling him, saying that, and it's like, before then I was like, well, I don't know if I thought it was like, now I think that's number one, plain and stupid. It's it's dumb for someone to do that. But back then it was like, I was proud of that. Yeah. But now it's like, I'm not proud of that at all. And thinking about, and I always say it, but thinking back, whenever I'm thinking, how far I'm in recovery and my sobriety, I look back and think about all the times I was an alcoholic, and these situations I put myself in at the time, whether if it was, I didn't know where I was at or I blacked out. I think of those times and I use it as fuel to my fire to keep going. And whenever I think about those, it doesn't trigger me. It doesn't trigger me at all. In fact, it helps me, because it helps me become the better, a new person. It gives me something to, well, what, like people ask me, what could you have done differently with being an alcoholic? God honest truth. And I talked to my therapist about this a couple of weeks ago, and he asked me a question. I can't remember how he worded it, but he asked me, would you have changed anything in your recovery or your sobriety? Would you have changed, like even back whenever you're an alcoholic, would you have changed anything? I said, absolutely not. And he was like, what? Even you still want? I was like, well, number one, I didn't know I had a drinking problem. That's one thing. And maybe this is the path that God wanted me to take, because it was either he puts me through the storm, and that, or it was life or death. And I, think about how far I've went, and it's amazing how far I've came. And they say that, taking that, it's just taking that first step into recovery.
It's the greatest feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Like, God's great. And that's the way to handle that, man. That question, would you change anything? No. Because you wouldn't be exactly, you're right here today. This is exactly where you're supposed to be. This is where God wanted you today. He wanted me here too. And if you change any little thing, I'm not going to be married. I'm not going to have a kid. No, I will. I had to go through that pain to learn it all. And I was stubborn.
Oh, yeah.
But when we go through those things and we learn, now we know it. Now you have a problem. Now you know the danger of alcohol. It's not just, go have a beer like the commercials on TV. Hey, go on the boat and have some fun. No, it's not like that for you. For some people, sure. Travis, he can go out. My little brother, he can go out and have a beer. He can have 2 or 3. He can go get drunk if he wants. But guess what? That next morning, he's not going to the freezer getting his half gallon out. He'd be like, no, I got shit to do. And maybe that's his addiction. I think hunting is Travis's addiction, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, talk to him about that one day. But I don't think it's addiction. I think it's a hobby. I think it's anything can become unhealthy.
Yeah.
People work out. People go to church too much. People do all that. There's so many things that people can do too much of. You just have to kind of know yourself, know your role, and just know God's good.
Yeah.
And
He's always good.
To look at the blessings of life today and the things that we have. When I first brought you, or actually Justin brought you up here.
Yeah.
But when I took you home, that was probably, you were feeling way different from when you came up than when you went home.
I really was feeling way different. It was whenever I had, on the way up here, it was like, I didn't know what to expect going into rehab. Did not expect, what I was going to learn.
It'd be like the holding tank,
Is it going to be like prison? Is it going to be are these people going to be like a prison, like a cell inmate?
Yeah. And some people in there do have that prison mentality, and you have to, I don't check them, but I'll be like, hey man, you don't have to live that way no more.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people, you'll hear that. You don't have to live that way no more, and that means a lot of different things, but that prison mentality sometimes is in there, because people do get locked up for drugs. And we take people from jail to treatment a lot. And we love it because as a person who was locked up going, this isn't the help I need for my mental problem. Like I need help. And I think that's a good thing to get people who are locked up for drug charges, whether it be alcohol, meth, whatever, and to get them in a place that can help them. I think that's huge for society, for your kid. Yeah, your kid. I said your kid. You're listening right now. Your kid, your husband, your wife, your grandma, everybody. We've taken I took an 85-year-old over to Detroit one time, woman, and then had to go pick her up a week later because she had COVID. Drove her back as she had COVID in the back seat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've taken many people that had full-blown COVID and right on in the start of COVID, and it's just like, oh, damn. Okay, we'll get them there. But I don't even know what I was talking about now, that getting old thing. Yeah, I don't know. Life is great, though. It's beautiful. And I did remember something I was talking about earlier that I did want to mention before we end the podcast, and I was talking about the gamblers and if there's dope, the tolerance. And I do remember hearing that for them, stakes have to get higher.
Yeah.
Where, this blackjack, it's just not good enough. I got to go to the other tables where the stakes may be higher. Or this thing, I was watching a movie on this stuff. But anyway, it was crazy. And they were talking to this one guy who was a gambling addict, and he just went nuts and almost blew his whole retirement, family, all that. It's so similar to the alcohol person. But then he got his stuff together and became an alcoholic. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said just like that. He was like, got my stuff together. I wasn't gambling no more, but I substituted. He turned to drinking, and then he went back to gambling, and now he was gambling and drinking. And so he's like, that was even worse, but he ended up, when he did the movie or whatever, he had 5 years clean from everything. So that was good. But you got to be careful of the substitutions and, I'll just do this or I'll just smoke pot. People have said that. And it's like, okay, well, I can't smoke pot because I tried that method too. I'll just smoke pot. And it led me right back to alcohol.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that was another thing too. And I'm glad you brought that up because I had, someone had asked me too, even whenever I got out of the hospital, because, I smoked weed too. I mean, whenever I first started, I was a straight up pothead. And I still was a pothead, but not like, I wasn't like, let me go, smoke 4 or 5 blunts or however I chose to do it. And I remember getting out of the hospital and whenever I said, I can't drink no more. No, absolutely not. And someone had asked me, well, are you still going to smoke weed? No. Well, why would I? And I said, because it's like, and I think about it back whenever I was an alcoholic, that whenever I would smoke weed and drink, smoking weed actually made me want to drink more. So it's like, well, if I, take a hit off of a joint after being sober for 9 months, is it going to trigger me into going to the liquor store while I'm up in Traverse City to go get a bottle?
Nobody will know.
No.
Right?
Yeah. Nobody will know. No one doesn't know me up here. And that was a thought that I was thinking on the way up here was like, well, I mean, yeah, I'm up here. I can, I could drink if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. Because why would I go back to this same broken cycle that I've already been in, and I already know what's going to happen if I keep drinking? Mm-hmm. Because like I said, there was no limit for me. Mm-mm. And I've learned that, and I seen a quote on Facebook because I follow all these recovery addiction groups, and I've seen one on there, a quote on there. It says, "The man takes the drink takes the drink, and then the drinks take the man." Mm-hmm. And I think about that, and it was, I take one drink, and then that first drink could make me want to take, another drink, and then before you know it, the drinks have already taken me, mm-hmm. taken my life, taken every bit of everything I have. And for what recovery has given me back, it's given me back so much more than what alcohol was giving me. And it was, it's such a good feeling because you can't, it's like, how you think of like, man, you feel so good, but you don't know like why. But with being in recovery, it's like, I feel so good. It's just, I don't know if it's just because I've been in recovery for so long, or if it's like, I know I don't have that urge to drink anymore. And I want to say maybe a couple weeks ago, I went to the store after going to the gym, just, to get groceries, and I was going by the alcohol liquor section, and I looked, and it was like, the more that I get further into recovery and think about my sobriety and how far I came, the less appealing that whole alcohol section is to me.
I used to get sick. I would like almost vomit when I would see it. It just a thought, because it was that very bottom shelf vodka that I don't even like think about it because it makes me want to puke.
Yeah.
So yeah, like just seeing that, it's not fun, and it brings back bad times. And the reason why I think we appreciate life so much is because we went through the dark, and you have to go through the dark to appreciate that light.
Yeah.
Like people that didn't go through the struggles we went through, and there are people that went through 1,000,000 times the struggles that we went through, and that see the light even brighter than we do. So I'm not saying that, hey, we're the greatest people ever because we, used to be alcoholics. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying we went through very dark times in our lives, times that we thought we probably would never get out of, and we did.
Yeah.
And now we got out, and we have changed our lives, and we are living better, and life is happening to, like, real life is happening to us now, and we appreciate it, and it scares me. There's a lot of things that scare me about it because I know how much I have to lose now, you know, and yeah, but it's a great feeling. Like, we could go to the bar right now and go in there and just get people help. Like, wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, I want to help everybody. Anybody who, like, there's people I see walking on the street sometimes. I'm like, man, I should stop and get that guy some help. Because I want everybody to feel this, and especially when it comes to people that I know. And people from Waterville, Eaton, Coloma, and Hartford will reach out to you because you're posting that stuff. And there was a guy, Jason Vaughter. I saw him, and I remember I was driving home from Grand Rapids after I took someone to treatment that it had nothing to do with 270. I mean, that was in my active addiction back then. And I saw him post on Facebook. I was driving, and I'm looking at my phone, and he had posted that he had so many days sober. And I'm like, oh, that lucky bastard. I remember thinking that, but we ended up talking, and he's been on the podcast a few times, but I think he's got like 9 years now.
Wow.
But it's crazy because I reached out to him later, you know. It wasn't for help, but it was to tell him that his message that I saw that day did impact me, you know. So all those people that are, oh, you posted too, whatever, dude. Like, unfollow me then. Like, I don't care. Like,
that's what, and it was. Whenever people say that, and
you never know who's going to see it. Yeah,
you never know who's going to see it, and it's like it might be someone that has a problem that sees it, and they're like, "I'm not alone. I'm not alone." And I might have, and I've had I've had some people ask me, "Well, where'd you go to rehab at?" And I tell them I went up to Traverse City, and and they said, well, what made you go up there? And it's like, because I wanted to, you know, I needed to, first and foremost, I didn't want no one to know me, pretty much like you said. And then it was like, I needed a break from Southwest Michigan. And they had told me, you know, asked me, like, you know, then there was other people ask me, well, what made you want to get sober? Because I wanted to have a life. I didn't have a life whenever I was drinking. And I thought, I mean, and that's the crazy thing with alcohol is that, you know, it makes you think all these things, but it's not, you know, not necessarily true. Like, it makes you think, oh, well, you're capable of doing that and anything and everything, and you can do this, or you can have a good life. No, you can't have a good life, especially whenever you don't know that you don't know your limit. And I've said this to people, and it's like, you know, there are some people out there that need help and need the help and the recovery, like how I needed it. And it's not for those that need it, it's for those that want it.
Yeah.
Like, I can go tell someone, you know, off the streets, like, hey, you need help. You have a serious drug problem or a serious alcohol problem. You need to go get help. I can't make that person go get help. They have to want it first.
Yeah, he may not even know he has a problem.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't want it, if you don't think it's a problem in your life, and it's telling you it's not, then who are you to tell somebody? And that's what makes it so hard. You know, when people do reach out, then it makes it easier because then, hey, at least they're asking for help. But got those other ones, you don't know who's going to see it, and you don't know. It could be 10,000 people that think it's waste of time and it's stupid, but that one person that sees it, you know, that's what it's for. And yeah, you're just showing off what you're living life, man. You know, like, yeah,
life's been like I've always said, life's been beautiful. It's more. I appreciate it more now than I did back then, because I easily could have not have went to the hospital. I mean, I could have easily not went to the hospital and gotten the help and found out, you know, oh, well, you have cirrhosis of the liver from heavy alcohol usage. And then I remember a couple months after getting out of the hospital, or not hospital, I should say, out of rehab, I had had an incident, and this is what scares me, makes me want to do more as far as staying sober, is, because of my health. Like, my health has been one of the number one things that gives me the anxiety, the depression that I've been fighting and going through. And a couple months, back in April, I had an incident where I just, started, not to get, too descriptive, but, I started getting, start throwing up blood, and went to the hospital, and they said that, with having the cirrhosis, it leads to like the esophageal varices, like in your esophagus. And I was at grade 2, and they said that one of them was pretty much about to rupture, and meaning that it would, I could have bled out in my sleep.
Damn.
Could have bled out in my sleep. And they had said, you probably would have bled out your sleep and most likely could have died. That was one thing that scared me. And then, as a matter of fact, and then just before that, in March, I went to seeing a liver transplant clinic up in Grand Rapids just to talk a little bit more about my liver. And they said, had you have, not stopped, you would have needed a liver transplant to have any chance of survival. And they talk about the scoring chart with liver disease, and with being, 6 being the lowest, 40 being the highest, and then between 50 and 40 would put you on the list for a transplant. I was at 25 back then. And they said that you most likely would need to have a transplant back then. But then they said, well, with staying sober, staying active, keeping your body healthy, you're now back down to an 11. And that was like a good feeling, but it also still scared me because it's like a transplant. And I've looked, I've honestly looked up on YouTube about a transplant, and I was like, oh shoot. I was like, and then just a couple weeks ago, I went to go see a cardiologist, and they're just, talking about my heart, and and I can't remember the exact name of what it is, but they asked me, well, when did you start having these symptoms, or when did you start going to the hospital for your cirrhosis? I was like, I'm back in November. And they said, had you not went then, you most likely would have been in heart failure right now, and you potentially could have been dead or be dying. And that's still, like I said, my health has been the number one thing that scares me to death almost every single day, because it's like, I don't know if I'm going to survive. That's why I'm so more passionate every day about, staying sober and making all the posts I make about, recovery is possible. And I want people to know that it's possible. Mm-hmm. It's just all about changing your whole perspective on life and taking that first step forward, because I'd much rather have the worst sober day than the best drunk night.
Yeah. Yeah. Our worst sober day is way better than that best drunk night.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, man, it's great to see you again. You've lost a lot of weight. You're doing good things.
And that's the other thing too. Like, everyone's like, it's funny because I just the day before I came up here, I went to the gas station to get fill the car up before heading up here. And it was a gas station where I say my go-to gas station because that's where I went to go get my alcohol. And the gentleman was like, "Is that you?" I was like, yeah, it's me. He's like, "You look good. You lost a lot of weight." I was like, "Yeah, man, I had to quit drinking. It was either I'd quit drinking or I was going to die."
Yeah, people don't, well, I guess some people realize, but it really swells your face up.
Oh, it does.
Big time. And
I mean, even posting like before and after photos of before photos of whenever I was an alcoholic to me now, it's like people, they're like, "I can hardly recognize you." And as a matter of fact, whenever I went up and visited the facility I was in, I actually stopped there yesterday. I'm going to stop back over there again later today. And yesterday I stopped there, talked to one of the navigators, and he hardly recognized me until I started talking to him, and he's like, "I thought that was you. You look amazing. You look so much healthier." And he even said that you looked way better now than you did whenever you first were in treatment.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
it was like, yeah, man, I'm just taking care of myself, taking care of, what's most important to me now, and that's life.
Yeah. Well, you keep on doing that. And I don't know, next time when you come up, you'll have to pop in, do another podcast, update us on your goals and your dreams and your visions, and we'll do all that stuff next time. But dude, it's good seeing you. I'm glad that you came back, and it's fun. I love it when people get it and you can have that same feeling of like, yes.
It's always amazing to talk to somebody who had the same struggles as you, because it's like, you could benefit from something that I say, or I can benefit something from what you said, and it's just amazing talking to other recovering alcoholics, because it's like you never know what you say might be their survival guide. And that's how I always say is, first year of sobriety and recovery is all about survival, man.
Yep. It is. You got to. Yeah. But I'm proud of you, man, and I appreciate you coming to see me and jumping on the podcast.
Yeah, it was awesome. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, thanks, and be in touch, and we'll do part 2 next time.
Oh, yeah, part 2.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. Listen to over 900 episodes on the 217 Recovery app that's free in your app store or online at 217recovery.com.